Hey, Carly, I'm curious, out of the 5 dishes this week, which would you have been most excited to eat?
I was very excited about the stuffed cabbage. First of
Mm,
all, I thought that Rhoda did a great job pivoting from making individual rolls to making one long roll and then cutting it. But it was
yes.
to the point where I was looking up recipes for stuffed cabbage, but then I realized I didn't have any the next day, and I didn't feel like going to the grocery store. But I do see stuffed cabbage in my future, though probably nowhere near as good as hers.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had stuffed cabbage, but it looked amazing. And that like buckwheat crisp on top sounded so good. So yeah, I would have loved to have that. I think the one I was most excited about was Lawrence's. I love like a good fried fish sandwich. And it, like the fact that he made his own buns and then did catfish, like that looked so good. So I um, would have loved that too. Also, most of them were seafood this week, so I was like, I could have had all of them except the chicken liver mousse too. So I that also was very exciting. They all looked really good.
Yeah, it was interesting because they weren't all necessarily seafood, right? Because they needed like some of them were like lake because
Fish,
there was
yeah,
more
yeah,
mountain food, with the exception maybe of the shrimp, which Sarah and Tom talked about
yes.
on.
And I think Rhoda
Yeah,
and Sherry used shrimp, and
you're
then
right.
Brandon used crab as well. So you're right. I think I say seafood for fish in general. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot of seafood actually instead of just the mountain fish. So that's actually a really good
yeah.
point.
I mean, I thought that the crab from Jonathan was sort of a nod to his mid-Atlantic, um,
Mm-hmm.
where he currently lives. I don't know if that's where the Dearden brothers are from, but I liked that. And yeah, Sarah and Tom go into lots of detail about choices in Pack Your
Yes.
Knives. And here at Track Your Knives, we're not your traditional recap podcast. We're not going to go over every single dish that people made, though as the chefs get fewer and fewer, it is a little bit more likely that that happens. But what we're really doing here is talking about the community's rankings in terms of where we see as people's strengths and weaknesses, with a little bit of gameplay where it's not necessarily who is the strongest chef, because what we're doing here is we're playing for points. And the winner with these points gets to have a chef curated meal at Sara Bradley's restaurant, Fright House. And we'll also be talking about fantasy leagues with a focus on those of you who have joined Pack Your Knives leagues.
Yes. Yes. Very excited. Well, let's jump into the episode. Lot happening. I think there's been, as you said, a lot of the podcasts have recapped what happened this episode. We'll get into a little bit of the Seeger crash out when we get to talking through the power rankings, but I think we'll start off on just the way the episode started. I loved Kristen coming in with the donuts and just chatting with them, and it was like such an interesting like the bookends to the episode. Like it started out on this really positive note, Sherry and Lawrence sort of just chatting and kind of talking about how they have like a brother sister relationship, and Kristen with the donuts, and then the opposite end of the episode. And so I just I liked the kind of balance that they did kind of kicking off the episode this week.
Yeah, I feel like this episode had a lot of different emotions because
Mm-hmm.
with the focus on Asheville, which was hit so hard by flooding after the hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a lot of devastation, but also a lot of hope and sense
Yeah.
of community. And then there's the competition aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Um, I have lived in a place where the rivers have flooded. I was inland in Iowa, so it wasn't a hurricane, but it was very scary,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not as bad as what Asheville saw. It was really wonderful to see Ashleigh again.
Yes.
I've seen her recently on Tournament of Champions, but I just thought she brought a lot of good comments to the judges table
Agreed.
and seemed like a good ambassador. It was also just really cute seeing everyone smushed into one car.
Yeah, I did love that. Yeah, I love that they went to Asheville. I do wish they had like stayed in Asheville for the elimination challenge. Like I thought that would have kind of been a nice way to kind of close out that trip there. But it was great that they got to visit so many of the different restaurants that were impacted, hear their story, and just the community aspect of how the restaurants really helped kind of Asheville come together and kind of weather the whole flooding and the situation. So I just like loved that, and it just like such a like I mentioned last episode, like visited there about 6 years ago or so, and it's a small town, but it packs a lot in there. And so I just love to see kind of the Asheville pride and just like how everyone's rebuilding. That was really nice. And the food, like there's something I love about Top Chef is just how educational it is. So teaching us about the Appalachian foods and their methods, that was a great way to kind of wrap up in the Carolinas too, from that standpoint, I thought.
I agree. The other thing that stood out to me in this episode was the particular advantage that Sherry got for the elimination challenge, which was that she could have the exclusive use of certain Appalachian ingredients, and she chose the October beans and chow chow. And earlier this season, or maybe it was before the season started, I can't quite remember, but I did an article on this on packyourknives.com about the different advantages and how people fare with those different advantages. Looking at this specific type where you're restricting others' access to ingredients, this has only happened, I believe, one other time, and that was Spike Mendelsohn in season 4, Chicago. And for him, he ended up at the bottom of the elimination challenge, and Sherry ended up at the top. It's an N of 2, so we're not looking at large numbers here. We can't really make a statement. So I'd say it's still up to chance as to whether this is an actual advantage. But I do think that it was a little bit of it can be a little bit of just like a mindset advantage, and how, for example, Lawrence was like really set on chow chow, but then needed to pivot and do something different with his cabbage. And yeah, I'm always just really interested in how the different advantages play out.
Yeah, same. Because sometimes someone really has in their mind what they want. And so not necessarily where you're restricting them, but you get the first pick of an ingredient or a dish that you want to make. And sometimes that actually like hurts them. So I agree. That was, interesting. And it's interesting that's only happened twice in here. That seems like something that would be an advantage they'd use more often.
They use a lot of you choose first, but not necessarily then people cannot also use that. Yeah. Right? Like if you choose shrimp, the other people just can't feature shrimp, but they could use shrimp in some other way, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of nuance, and as my rewatches of Top Chef have continued, the nuances of my notes have evolved, sometimes to be more specific and other times to be less specific. So there's a lot of categorization that has to happen. So if you're listening and you know of another time besides Spike in season 4 and Sherry in this episode, let me know and I'll update my data.
Yes, I am. It's a lot of data to keep track of. And I'm sure there's things that happen in an episode and you're like, oh, I wish I had been tracking this for all of the seasons, because that's an interesting data point. And then like you can't rewatch all of them. So
yeah, for example, back talk to the judges.
Yes.
Don't have that data. So.
How many chefs have asked to read the rules live on the episode?
I don't know if we've seen read the rules. The two things that come to mind, I think it was Jen Carroll and Grayson Schmitz in like seasons 8 and 13 or something, but it wasn't. I can't remember if it was when they were eliminated or if it was just at judges' table when they're defending themselves.
Yeah, agree. Well, it was a great episode. Let's get into power rankings. So this week, how did you do?
I improved ever so slightly from 42nd to 38th.
There we go.
This was my first time ever getting bonus question correct.
Nice.
And so I got 11 points. I had Seeger as most likely to be eliminated, and then I had Rhoda in the middle.
Very good. Yeah. Similar. I had 10 points, so improved from 20th to 18th. It's not a huge jump. But I had Rhoda in third, but Seeger in fourth. So I had Jonathan going home this week, which was close, but I think it was definitely Seeger who was leaving this week.
Yes.
So we talked about the bonus question. I think we both got that right this week. And so we asked, will at least 2 chefs serve variations of the same thing? So it was just a yes or no answer. And I think most people got it right.
Yeah, 68 out of 94. And this was the episode with the largest number of players getting the bonus question right. And this is, as you said, your second time getting a bonus question right. Yes. But I want to give a shout out to the other people who, like me, waited until episode 12 to get a bonus question right, which is Will Tangmeister, Sarah Ashleigh, Sarah G, Oz Top Fan, Muse, Matt M Croissant, London Fog, what a delicious drink, Katie R, Jason L, MJ, Chantel B, Buddha Low, again, not the chef, Ali or Ali, and AD Designs.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, it feels good. As one of them, I can say it feels good. And then Jen Ifer, it's Jennifer, but there's some nice hyphens in there, joins Serafina and Deg SF as the only people to get 4 or more bonus questions right. And those latter 2 are now at 5 bonus questions right.
That's amazing.
I don't know how, and I look forward to next year when maybe you're in my position and I can be in yours.
Yes, agree. Yeah. And with that, so Deg SF actually cut the lead to 2 points. So they are in second and we're now down to 2 points. So we have got a race for the winner, depending on how it goes over the next 2 episodes, which is very exciting. And I was just looking at, they both have Lawrence as the winner. And so Pure XJ, who's in third, has Sherry. So depending on how the finale goes, there could be a little bit of a change in the leader there, even though Michelle's been like killing it for, I haven't been keeping track of how many weeks, but most weeks. So that will be a great finish here. But jumping into how everyone did this week. So in terms of predicting the winner and then the eliminated chef, how did everyone do?
Well, this week we actually had perfect scores and perfect scores with getting the bonus question right. So there were 7 of those people. Punk Chew 8, Not Top Scallop, Jimmy Eat Wordle, Jenna, Jason L, HRA, and Chef Anad. And then there were 5 others who got perfect scores but didn't get the bonus question. And that was Wild Rejoice, Lauren C, Julie B, Goober P, P as in the vegetable, not the letter, and Dustin R.
So those are very fun. So 12 perfect scores. How many total people chose Rhoda as the winner?
24 out of the 119 who played. 70% had Rhoda in their top 3. I always say this because I always think of it as we're talking as opposed to before the episode, but I really should have looked at the number of people who had Rhoda in their top 2 now that we're down to 5, because then we look at who's in the bottom 3, the top 3 and the bottom 3, there's always that person in 3rd who's in both of those categories. So my bad. But yeah, so 24 chose her as most likely to win, and then 21 chose her as most likely to be eliminated. So it was a little bit mixed there.
Yeah.
She was really not solidly. She was just barely in 3rd to Sherry in the rankings. And yeah, so Sherry just barely had a better average power ranking. Whereas Rhoda had 24, choosing her as most likely to win, 21 most likely to be eliminated. For Sherry, it was 16 and 4, I believe. 16 and 4. And so there were just fewer people at the extremities for Sherry. But still 70% having Rhoda in their top 3.
Yeah.
It's getting close.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like she had an okay week last week. And so I'm not surprised that she had sort of a larger number at the bottom than like Lawrence or Sherry did. But I think, 70% in the top 3 makes a lot of sense for this week.
Yeah, though since she's come back from Last Chance Kitchen, she's only been in the bottom once across quickfires and elimination challenges. It's just that first elimination challenge she came back and made the Eaton mess. It just was not successful. And then last week's episode, she was just safe and in, and so it just feels not as successful, but not being in the bottom for this much is quite good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she's like really leaning into her food now too. Like the first few episodes, I feel like she did. And then she kind of pulled back from that. And so I think she seems like she's excited again about the food she's cooking. So I'm really looking forward to what she does next, because I think she definitely deserves a spot in the finale.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk Seeger. So Seeger went home this week. That from a personal reality TV enjoyment perspective, it was fantastic. Yes. I enjoyed his crash out. I didn't quite understand where he was trying to go with this, but 10 out of 10, ultimate crash out kind of reminds me of the older days of Top Chef, where this maybe happened a little bit more. I do want to say we were talking about Ashleigh, and like I thought she had the best like quip back to him about why he was going home. And I feel like you don't always get the guest judges being the ones to like push back or give that really kind of negative feedback. But it was just like awesome to see her step in and be like, no, your technique was bad. And like, this is why you're going home, and like really defending like the main judge's decision. So anyways, I thought it was a great TV moment, even though I feel really bad for him. I think he's getting a lot of hate. I saw his Instagram post yesterday.
There's no need to tell him you hate him or that any bad name or any of that. Like, he's a human. And I think something that so I agree, it was great TV. I was just like, oh my God, like that discomfort was so strong.
So uncomfortable.
But he's been applying for 11 years. Yeah. And he had his second chance, right? He came back when Jennifer was, when she left the competition, and then Justin said he would come back via LCK, but not right away. And so he really, really wanted this, as does everyone. I don't know what his, it's not like he could have changed the minds. Like, once it's decided, it's decided. But yeah, and in the power rankings, like we have been seeing that people have been sort of waiting for him to go home, essentially. He's been at the bottom of the power rankings since episode 9, and that was the episode in which Oscar went home. And so he's just been at the bottom. I will say 7 people chose him as most likely to win. And, I think part of that is a little bit of his oscillation from being really strong to being in the bottom to having been eliminated and coming back. Like there's a lot there, but also there's the gameplay of all of us who are trying to get points, and that if, it would be 5 points, right? And so 87% of folks had Seeger in their bottom 3. I'm guessing, let's see. Okay. So 27 had, him in their, oh, that's the wrong keyboard. Hold on. So 92 had him in their bottom 2.
Okay.
So it was a lot of the 119. But he's just been at the bottom, since episode 9. Yeah.
Where was he prior to getting eliminated during the barbecue challenge? Was he sort of in the middle?
He was, he was 7th out of 10th. Okay, so middle bottom. And before that, he was 13th, 12th, 10th, 9th, 7th, and then eliminated.
Yeah.
So he was ticking up, and then he was eliminated, and then now people are just sort of never came back on him the way like people have come back on Rhoda. Like she's just barely 3rd. Like I think this is the 2nd time where she's been within like less than 0.1 of someone else in terms of where her average ranking is. Yeah, so if we're just going to the 10th place, she and Sherry are the same, but at the 100th place, Sherry is just so slightly better.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. All right. Well, great episode there. But we'll move on to the rest of it. Okay, so we know from like the bottom perspective who the users expected to be eliminated. From the top perspective, probably not a big surprise, but who was everyone expecting to win the challenge?
Yeah, so 50% of people put I didn't even think to say his name because it was just so obvious. Lawrence chose Lawrence as most likely to win, and 0 put him as most likely to be eliminated. Since even episode 1, the maximum number of people who have ever chosen him as most likely to be eliminated is 3 in a given episode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people just are not expecting him to be eliminated.
Yeah. I think he's got a pretty clear path to the finale. So looking forward to seeing that. And then in terms of who are the other 2, who do you think takes spots 2 and 3?
I'm going to say Jonathan because he is my preseason winner pick.
Okay.
And I am just manifesting that. Not that I totally believe in that because this is something that happened like 8, 9, 10 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think ideally it's Lawrence, Sherry, and Rhoda.
Yeah.
But with Jonathan as my pick, I'll go Lawrence, Sherry, Jonathan. I was about to say Rhoda, but Sherry has now had 6 elimination high and 1 elimination win. and very few, if any, elimination lows.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sherry, one elimination low.
Yeah.
So I think that she is just so incredibly solid. I think she's made very interesting food. The way it was like, her dish was a mix of a lobster roll, a hot dog, a hamburger. Like, it was just, but it was, with beans. Like, I thought it was so interesting. And like, I just am not well versed in Brazilian food. And so it's been really neat to see her cook. So that's sort of what I'm leaning. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think I just have this like soft spot for Sherry, having had a chance to meet her. And so I'm like always rooting for her. And I like that like her personality seems to be coming out a bit more now too. So I think Lawrence, Sherry, and I feel like I'd love it to be Rhoda as the third. I feel like you always get someone unexpected as the third, like, what was it? Was that last season? What was Bailey and Massimo?
That was season 22. Yeah.
Yes. So Bailey ended up making it to the finals when you maybe would have expected Massimo or someone else. So I could see Jonathan making it in potentially over Rhoda or Sherry, just because I think we see that a lot. But I'd love to see a Lawrence, Sherry, Rhoda finale. I think the foods that would come out of that, like they each have such like a clear point of view of what food they would likely cook, that I think that would be an amazing finale.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also am debating, if they get sous chefs, if Jonathan's in the finale, does he choose Brandon? Because Brandon did a really great job in Restaurant Wars, ensuring the success of other people's dishes. So that could make him, especially, working with his brother, like that could be another success. Or it could just add to the tension in a finale where maybe Jonathan wouldn't want that.
Yeah. I agree. We should do that next week. Who we think they'll pick as their sous chefs, if we don't see it in the previews.
Okay.
That would be a fun prediction.
I like that.
Maybe we can make that the bonus question. All right. Well, next episode, last episode before the finale, Tom's 20 questions. That looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I love sassy Tom.
I love it. I think this is so fun. And I remember Savannah Miller in season 21, Wisconsin. She figured it out. She was like, there's a specific smell from garlic and ginger in a wok. And so she had this idea of like likely what it was, but didn't want to give it away, but wanted a specific question. And like, so she honed in. And so I'm really curious to see how that will go. And also, what goofy ass questions get asked that are just not helpful. Like someone in Wisconsin was like, are there tomatoes? It's like, no, don't start there.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. And then the elimination challenge with no normal plates. Very curious, the one where they're like hanging. Yeah. What will come of that? So that, but it seemed like the judges were happy with the food they were getting in the preview. So that will be fun to see. Yeah. All right. Fantasy leagues. Not a lot of scoring notes this week with no quick fire. So it was pretty straightforward. Just kind of going down now that we're at like a very low number of chefs. Lawrence is still killing it in the top spot with 70 points. Sherry is behind him now in second. And so she has 46 points. So pretty big gap between Lawrence and Sherry. Given all of Lawrence's wins. Rhoda is behind Sherry with 34, but she still actually has Anthony above her with 41 points. So as long as she makes it through this next episode and then into the finale, she actually might not be able to even surpass him unless she wins here. So we'll see if she can surpass Anthony and get into third with points. And then Jonathan is at the bottom of 15. He's actually behind Brandon and Dwayne, who each have 16. So that's kind of where we've landed. As you mentioned earlier, Sherry is like absolutely killing it with only being in the bottom once and 6 eliminations high out of 12. So 50% of the eliminations she's been in the top, which is pretty amazing. What about the teams? How is everyone doing on the fantasy league side?
Yeah, so I'm going to go through each of the Pack Your Knives teams and call out the leader. So for Pack Your Knives 1, Jonathan F., who is team 4, is leading. Lemon Danny, team 3 of Pack Your Knives 2, is leading. Allison is leading Pack Your Knives 3. Risotto Curse, see you week after week. You are still leading Pack Your Knives 4. Costers is leading Pack Your Knives 6. Dumpling is leading Pack Your Knives 7. Cosmic Cave Soup is leading Pack Your Knives 8. And in the lead of Pack Your Knives 10 is M. Croissant.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, I wish that maybe next year we can figure out a way for you all to chat with each other. But also always happy to take a little bit of smack talking if you want me or Kendra to convey that to your fellow Pack Your Knives leagues members. Happy to do that.
Yeah, we're here for you.
Yes. So my fantasy league is a much tighter race than yours. I'm only in the lead by 3 points. And yeah, whereas Katie is ahead of Bishop by almost 70 points.
Insane.
That is, I mean, that's like, you know, Tom and Sarah sort of difference.
Yeah. That will be crazy if Sherry and Lawrence make it to the final. I mean, she's probably getting over 100 points then at that. And with only 2 chefs like that, that's not right.
It's not right.
No.
I appreciate that your friend Caralia, she's lost her last chef, so is just straight up ending the season with negative points. But she's still doing weekly power rankings and like hasn't given up. And
dedicated.
Yeah, I love that.
I thought it would be fun next week if you have the order of where the chefs got drafted in your league. And I can pull the order for my league. That might be fun to talk through and then see like where they got drafted and then of the final 4 or I guess we'll have the 3 at that point, and can kind of compare that as well to what Tom and Sarah also drafted because both of our leagues watched the first episode. Right. So it'd be interesting to see if that biased the order as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
The one last thing about fantasy leagues that I wanted to say is, you know, we lost Seeger this week. And so looking at the teams that had Seeger in them, the leader in the standardized score per chef still has 2 out of their 4 chefs in, so could still keep the lead in this random fantasy grouping that I've created. That's not an actual league, but that's top scallop of League Xenofriends. And then there are 2 teams that had Seeger, Lawrence, and Sherry as well, so they'll continue to earn points. Wow. And that's Lagogo of Top Chef Fantasy League and Team Renee from Angle Canada League. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of nice to, even though you've lost one of your chefs, like you 3 are still doing well relative to your other compatriots.
Yes, that's awesome. Congratulations to all of you. Well, that'll do it for this week. Just a quick reminder to submit your rankings on findtopchef.com. No holiday weekends this week, so hopefully, I know we had a little bit low participation, I think, due to that this week. But yeah, don't forget to submit those, and we'll let you know if there's any like change in the episode time as well, so that you're aware of that. Our bonus question is going to be who will win the final quickfire of the season. And make sure you check out all the great content on packyourknives.com, including Tom and Sarah's episode recaps. This week was a really good one, so make sure you hop on and listen to that. And then subscribe if you haven't to the packyourknives.com Substack. Carly does amazing analysis on there. And so you want to make sure you check that out as well. Anything else, Carly, before we sign off?
Just to, again, plug Tom and Sarah's episode recap. Sarah had a little birdie tell her some inside deets about the end of the episode. So head on over there if you haven't already.
Yes, go get that tea.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everyone. And this has been Track Your Knives.